What's going on, chat? How we doing? Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Bravo Cast. This is episode 11. We had a little bit of a slow start in the beginning of the year with podcast episodes, but we're kind of coming back slowly and surely. And tonight, we got a very interesting one that gets me a little gassed up. I don't know. I was trying to think of a word to say that. I don't know. I'm excited. We've got Last of Us Season 2 news, and for everyone that's been around on the channel for a while, you guys know that I am a Naughty Dog and Last of Us fanboy, so naturally had to come through and talk about all of the pictures that we've got, set photos, set videos, everything. Some of the stuff's been removed, so we can't go over everything that was out, but we will be discussing it all, covering it all, giving our opinions, thoughts, and possibilities of maybe what could be coming in this season of the show. So, and chat, keeping with the theme this year of the podcast, I bring a very special guest. Last time we did a podcast, we had some guests. I want to try to have more guests on the podcast, and we have a living legend himself, a Last of Us fanboy like myself. We got Ronan Unchained.
That guy could be cracking up. Oh shit, living legend. Nah. What the fuck? Nah.
Yeah.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. How about you?
I'm good.
And he's got the guitar in the background too. Perfect.
I was teaching the kiddo.
Yep.
She told me to fuck off.
Yeah, unfortunately. We're gonna be getting into that, unfortunately. Yeah. So chat, let me put this up. I had to set this up today. Chat, I'm just warning you right now. Major Last of Us Part 2 spoilers. And it's not even just the game. it'll probably spoil the show too, to be honest.
Yeah.
So depending on how you want to go into the show, you know, tread carefully
Yeah.
because we're gonna we're gonna go over the pictures, but I want to dive a little bit further into the pictures. I want to say like what I think is happening, and that's going to require some clarification. That's going to spoil things because I think we have seen some sneakily very integral parts of the story being shown off in the pictures. So we're gonna kind of have to go into that. And yes, we are live. What's up, Jeffrey? How you doing, bro? What up? What up? What up? And yeah, I know you watched my playthrough when the remaster part 2 came out, so I already spoiled you already. So we'll, we're gonna be getting more into that and just kind of explaining what I think is going on, and then not just my opinion. Obviously, we got Ronan here. For those of you who don't know, he's been on Council of Creators a bunch with me and all the other laddies, and like I said, we're both big Last of Us fans. And he also has a Last of Us podcast that I watched. That was pretty cool. Bottles and Bricks over on his channel, which we'll plug again at the end of this little discussion here. But
Thank you.
let's get into this. Let's just get into it because we're probably gonna have a lot to go over. But we'll start with a little self promo of my own tweet right here. Just because I have some of the pictures. So initial thoughts that I said. Super excited from what I'm seeing, and I can't wait to get traumatized again. I think most Last of Us fans are kind of on the same page. We got that beautiful set picture of Bella and Isabella Merced
Yeah.
from our boy Canada Graphs, and then obviously Papa Pedro right there looking oof. We got a lot to talk about with that one. And then I think we also have a lot to talk about this picture too. The more I looked at it, Bella looking fantastic. Ronan, what was your initial reaction to just the pictures, set videos, everything? Like, what are you thinking?
So shout out to Canada Graphs.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm so sorry, man. At first, I didn't even knew it was
I
you
didn't know
took the
either.
photos. I was so shocked. I'm like, wait, what the fuck? That's day one.
Yeah.
Seattle.
Yep.
Why the fuck is that happening now? I was so it was so I was apoplectic with emotions and it
Yep.
was whiplashing. So first shout out to Canada Graphs because that's that's pretty cool. I can only imagine living or residing close to it, and I would each day I don't give a fuck. I would be like, is this
Yeah,
is
I'm
there
calling
the
into
tower?
work.
Is there the tower? Is there gonna be the photo of all the crew and whatnot?
Yep.
But yeah, I it's fascinating, and we talked about this. That like I'm thrilled and excited that we're seeing this in live action, but I'm worried that the time gap won't be felt. And
Yeah.
again, it's nothing against the actresses, the actors and whatnot. It's just that sometimes, and again, it's genes. It's like sometimes you look young even when you're in your 20s and whatnot.
Yeah.
I know when I grow out my beard, people think I'm in my 30s, my late 30s or 40s and whatnot. And then when I shave it off, they're like, "Oh, look, he's just graduating high school and whatnot." And it's like I have that blessing, I guess. But it's very intriguing to see that they're doing this already, or maybe they're just fucking with us. Maybe they're twisting stuff around. They're like, "Oh, they're somewhere that looks like Seattle, but is it Seattle?" Because as for those who play the game, there was a few weeks or maybe a month or two that it took them to get to Seattle.
Yeah.
And there's in the diaries of Ellie's notebook, it tells you what they went through.
Yeah.
So I'm intrigued by that, and it's again, it's a very emotional thing to see Joel in that shot.
Absolutely.
Dude, I literally had just finished like setting everything up with my X-Men 97 reaction. I was like, okay, cool. And this is it. X-Men 97, boom. And I literally, it was like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning. And I finally went to bed. I was laying down in bed. I was like, all right, I think I'm gonna rest. I don't want to mess up my sleeping order. And then boop, the Max Twitter handle posted these photos. And I literally was like, oh my gosh. I without even like seeing too much of it, I just heard the game. I don't fucking need you, Joe. And I was like, oh God, we're doing that already. And the long hair, the lighting, and it's so. Again, I hope you're not watching this or seeing these photos if you haven't played the game, because I want you to experience it as much as I would think both of us experienced it, but
Mhm.
it is integral scene. It's a
is.
very
It's definitely one of the standout scenes of the entire game. And I
bro.
mean, also like probably the biggest, I guess, trailer like gameplay reveal video we got was this scene. I forget where it was shown, where it was you see the dance and then you get gameplay for the first time. So this is like a very iconic, important, integral scene to part two, which we'll dive into a little bit more. But yeah, when I saw this was the picture they chose to show off Pedro, I was like, man, they know they
Yeah,
know what they're doing, because that's just like, if you play the games, that's instantly recognizable, literally just from the lights at the top. Like, you know exactly what's going on. So yeah, I think they were very, very sneaky and calculated with what they were showing. Where like to
yeah,
regular people that may not be familiar with the games, like, oh look, he's got longer hair, he looks a little bit older, maybe, like cool. Uh Innocent enough on the surface, but then when you know a little bit of the context, pretty crazy. Yeah, it's like, people are like, "Wow, why the fuck are they flipping out over it? It's just Pedro." It's like, no, no,
no,
you
no,
don't
no, no,
know.
no, 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 no.
I mean, yes, it is Pedro, but no,
No.
it's a lot more. And we kind of touched on it, so I guess we can actually maybe get into this first. So we were talking about like the time passage, and a common complaint so far that I've been seeing is that Ellie looks pretty much exactly the same. And
Yeah,
I get it. I mean, obviously, it's different. That's one of the things when you're adapting a video game and you're making a show in live action. Like,
not carbon
you,
copy.
yeah, you can make a character model look a lot older. Like, but some people age differently. Like Bella, I think technically in real life, I think is older than Ellie in part two, but you know, obviously doesn't look like it. so so it's a little tricky. I mean, they gave her the hairstyle from part two, which I thought was cool. Like when I saw the Candergraph pictures, that was one of the first things I noticed, was she had the hairstyle. I don't know. I mean, there's only so much you could do with aging in real life, so like I'm not really getting too hung up on that. Like
Same.
if she's wearing the outfits and she's got the hair and everything, and we get maybe a little bit more of the attitude of part two Ellie, because part two Ellie is very different than part one Ellie
Yeah.
for obvious reasons that we don't really have to explain. But uh I don't know. I don't mind it too much. I mean, does it throw me off a little bit? Maybe a little bit, just because like also very small person. Like Ellie's kind of tall. But you know, it is what it is. I think Bella is fantastic as Ellie. I thought she did an amazing job bringing Ellie to life. I think she's basically the perfect casting for her. So
She got the
I don't know.
spirit.
Yeah, she has a spirit. Ellie, Ashley Johnson talked about it. Neil Druckmann talked about it. I think Craig, like on the Last of Us podcast that they did, like she basically embodies the same spirit as Ellie. So like, I don't really care. Like, would I
And
prefer her to look a little older? Maybe, but like, I don't know.
and this says a lot. How do I put it? Like again, I think you said it best. I'm not losing sleep over it. I think once we see the execution, maybe we'll buy it.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be more effed up if she comes off younger and she goes through what Ellie goes through in part two, but at
Hmm.
a younger age and not when she's 19 in our
Yeah.
eyes visually and whatnot. So maybe there's more effed up thing. I mean, they've done that thing in then season one where um I'll say this because it already happened, but the um the episode with the cannibals where she
Hmm.
meets David, and
Yep.
then in the game she cuts him a few times and then gets pulled
Hmm.
away. In the
Yeah.
show, they stay on that for a solid 50 seconds, 40
Yeah.
seconds,
She goes
and
to
it's
town.
and it almost you visually see the innocence of that kid robbed away and be like, okay, you're
Yeah.
not a kid anymore.
Hmm.
That was a crucifixion. It was a benediction under fire. Like
Yeah.
it was like hell. Like
Literally.
that. So they might be willing to do that to push it up. Oh yeah, she may not look like 19, but she is, and it's up to you how you perceive seeing a kid going full Punisher.
Yeah.
for 8 episodes and whatnot. And it's
Mhm.
just a lot to where my theory was going into it. And again, I always said is that if it doesn't happen, I'm not losing sleep over it. I'm not getting paid for this shit.
Yeah.
But I would have thought the route they would have gone was do the 5 year gap.
Yeah.
So the flashbacks, instead of cutting back and forth,
Hmm.
you do that as season 2,
Yep.
and you see how the good times and the bad times, and how it just. And I would have ended for me. What I was going to tell you is that I would end season 2 with the
Mhm.
Salt Lake City talk of like, tell me the truth, and he finally spills the
Mm.
truth. And
Mhm.
we all of us, the world just sits with it. That scene of her saying,
Yeah.
"Don't touch me. I'll go back, but we're done." And it just
Getting
for a
chills thinking
year,
about it. Yeah.
people have to sit with it and be like, "What? They're not family anymore?" And it's just like,
Hmm.
well, you got to stay with it because, and I've been telling folks who thought this show was fucked up. It's a fucked up show, but I'm like, yo,
You ain't seen nothing yet.
you ain't seen nothing yet. Like I remember, my showing family relatives be like, "Oh my god, this is brutal." I'm like, hey, do you like
Yeah.
it? She's like, "Yeah, we like it." But I'm like, well, just careful because season 2 and 3 is gonna get worse. And they're like,
Yeah.
what? What do you mean? And I tell them, Bill and Frank was the best that was ever gonna be in terms of moments with characters and whatnot.
Oh
The
yeah.
most delightful, hopeful moments. They're
Hmm.
like, what do you mean? It's like, I'm not gonna tell you.
Yeah. You got to wait on that one, but
Yep, yep, yeah.
and honestly, even in general, like they toned down the gore and stuff a lot for this show because especially like with the new remakes on PS5 and stuff, like
Yeah.
the games are disgustingly gory. I mean, and I'm a gore hound. I love gore. I mean, but even now and then, like when I play the games, like holy shit, like this is crazy. So they toned it down a little bit in the show. I'm wondering if because I think for everything to hit the way it needs to hit, they're gonna have to really you got to full send it, go crazy. But yeah, I mean, I basically agree with everything you said. Like, and one thing I thought like it'd be interesting. I don't know if they'll do it, but I'm just putting it out there, maybe to answer the whole aging thing. Maybe there won't be as big of a gap between seasons 1 and 2 as there were between like part 1 and part 2. I don't necessarily know how I would feel about that if they decide to change that because I think the time jump is needed for like everything to really marinate and hit the way it needs to hit for how part 2 story goes. But maybe they'll change that and be like, well, maybe it wasn't like a 5 year jump from part 1 to part 2. It was like maybe like a 2 or 3 year. Like, I don't know. It maybe, but I don't know. How would you feel about that? They like chose to do that.
It's a tricky thing because I even again go back and watch the reactions I did with Sam, and Sam from Team Divas is way more person who was a fan as well, but it was able to pull his way out more easier than I did.
Hmm.
Because I was just like, fuck, man, they're doing it, but whoa, this is Switch. Cool. I want to
Yeah.
see where they go with this. So time difference, I think, might be a key for them. But
Hmm.
I would also figure it out that I would push it as much as you can to give time for Kaylin Dever to
Yeah.
prepare herself for who she's gonna play, which we can for now. I don't know if it's up to you, man. But for right now, I think we should talk about her and her character almost like a mythical thing to be like, yeah, that's a whole
Yeah.
another bag of
We'll
stuff
we'll
coming.
just say Abby. We'll just call
Yeah,
her Abby. She's playing Abby. If we chose to choose to go deeper into that later, we will, but we'll tread lightly on
yeah.
Abby because there's a reason why they didn't show her yet, and there's a reason why they also didn't really show her too much for the game, also because yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, people bitching about it, like people are gonna bitch, always gonna find something to bitch about, especially when it comes to Naughty Dog and The Last of Us. People just love shitting on it. So like, yeah, Ellie doesn't look as old as she does in the video game. I don't really care. Deal with it. Like it is what it is. As long as the story is there, I don't care. So, whatever. But
I think, but tell me if I'm wrong. It's sort of the beauty thing to see it from a different lens.
yeah.
Like to me, again, maybe this says a lot to where I'm at in my life and how much seeing Gabriel and Pedro play Tommy and Joel, and how someone like me and someone that sounds like me is playing those characters, and how much that
Mhm.
brotherhood means a lot to me, and how
Yeah.
much that weight is added on, which I don't know. It's something that I hope fans can even, especially for season 2 and beyond, do improve. There's always an opportunity to improve. I'm not gonna sit here and lie and say I love every bit of part 2 and I had no trouble one night. Dude, to be frank, I didn't
Yeah,
go out and get my copy of the game and cut it out a few minutes into it. I was just like, no, I paid for this game. I waited. It got leaked, so I owe the
yeah,
studio at least my time and effort to go through this, and then I can judge it or interpret it in my own way after I played it. And so for those
absolutely.
3, 4 fucking days that I played through it, I went through it. And I
Yeah.
don't know if I told you this story before, but I'm
Mhm.
pretty sure I popped like a vessel or something in my eye that turned
Mhm.
red. And I remember at one point, because I was swapping turns with a relative of mine playing it, that I was like,
Mhm.
even my family was like, dude, you need to chill out. I'm like, no, I don't want to get spoiled. Spoilers have been flying for the past few months. Like, no,
Yeah.
like, take your time, experience it. And then with this show now, it's the same thing where it's like, all right, let's see what I can take away from it through
Mhm.
different lenses.
Yeah.
Again, the character of Kaylin's that she'll be playing, maybe that stuff might go down easy with me. I really
Mhm.
doubt it because I was very emotional with season 1. So I can't even imagine how I'm going to be in season 2. But it's the cool thing of seeing different lenses. And we just talked about it recently about how much X-Men, how much that means to me, and
Mhm.
how there's just a lens through a particular time that now echoes that time, and yet it's a new experience to people to interpret these characters.
Mhm.
That's the beauty of this franchise, is that for me, and I love Pedro, I love Bella, the gold standard is Troy and Ashley.
Oh yeah.
But if you can honor them and do your own thing the same way,
Mhm.
kudos, man. And I think that the fact that Pedro and Bella nailed those two characters should be enough for people to get behind where they're going to go forward in this crew. And I have to remind people, this is from the crew that made the game and the crew that made Chernobyl.
Yeah.
If you have any doubts still in your heart, go watch Chernobyl
Yeah,
and tell me
dude.
if that doesn't fit this world.
Yeah. Yeah. When I went and watched Chernobyl, I was like, oh, that's why he got The Last of Us. Yeah, Craig Mazin. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. But yeah, I mean, like Jeffrey said in chat, completely agree. Well said. Uh, and even you bringing that up, that made me even think about like how they have obviously changed things for the show. Like obviously the Bill and Frank stuff very different from what we got in the game, and a lot of people thought it was for the better. I kind of am mixed. I like the relationship better. I wish we got some of the action still, but that's
Yeah.
whatever. And then you know, obviously casting Kaylin as Abby. All I'll say is physically she isn't really the same as
Yeah.
that character in the game,
Yes.
but I'm not gonna let that really stop me from like getting invested in it as long as it's executed well. And then also, you brought up like Joel and Tommy, Gabriel and Pedro. Tommy is gonna have a kid going into the season, which I haven't really thought about.
No, same.
What the fuck is gonna happen with that?
Yeah.
I kind of almost forgot about that for a second. So like that's a very interesting change to see how that's gonna play into the story of part two. And then even like having Joel, because we all love Joel, but in the games he's a little bit more of a closed off murder machine. Until part two, you get a little bit more of him. In the end of the game, you get a little bit more of him. But Pedro's Joel is much more emotional, and he's still closed off, but he's a little bit more emotional and vulnerable. A little bit like that scene when he's just talking to Tommy breaking down. Oh my god! So like, I'm not opposed to changes as long as they make sense for what they're doing in the show. Like it's not going to be a one for one recreation. Otherwise, that'd be boring. Like you might as well just go watch a playthrough on YouTube if you want that. So I don't know. People getting upset about like the way people look and like who's playing who. Like I only have a problem with it if I watch the show and I think it's not good. So that whole thing is kind of just whatever to me. But yeah.
You're a Star Wars fan, like I am. I
Hmm.
presume that, like,
Yeah.
I remember going to Ahsoka. I was like, I trust Mary Elizabeth Winstead to
Hmm.
honor Vanessa Marshall as Hera Syndulla. I had seen a little bit of Natasha Liu Bordisso's work prior to Sabine, her take on Sabine, but I'm like, I hope she honors Tia Sakar and whatnot. And to be frank, they honor them. For
Yeah.
me, if and again, I just said it with Joe Nelly. When I think of Sabine and Hera, Vanessa and Tia come to mind, and then Natasha and Mary come into the mind. When I think of Tommy, I think of Jeffrey 1st, and then Gabriel kicks in and whatnot. So it's like they're gonna be there. It's the same thing with other well-known franchises like Batman. How many times has he been through the ringer? And there's different interpretation for people to take on. You and I know particularly dug what Madison did and what that team did with that first movie, and that's its own type of style. And from what we heard, people really dug it. Some people didn't really dig and thought it was too long and whatnot. And it's like that is your fair take. And there's gonna be plenty more Batman takes for you to either be on or be not. And for people who are worried about this, I'm like, the game is still there.
Yeah,
the game is gonna be there. And I remember when someone who I admire much, seeing her takes and whatnot, and other people as well, were saying the game is perfect. You don't need it, interpret it in live action. Like, why would you do this? Like, there's no. Is this just a cash grab? And I remember even Troy, I think at one point said that. Like he's like, I don't know how about this. And I remember Neil saying the characters and stories too rich to keep in the dual shot. And he fairly said there's going to be a lot of people that will never pick up a control. And I agree with. There's relatives of mine that I show the show, never going to pick up the PlayStation 3 or 4 or 5 control. They will never last one long. But it was cinematic enough to bring it into a mainstream way, even though the game is mainstream, but in a more
accessible
or in-your-face way. And I mean, it goes to show how much I said it, like the spirit and the energy and love I felt was there.
Absolutely.
That was enough for me. For them to do the giraffe scene the way they did, it was just like they were saluting to me. The fact that they gave me the scene with Anna and the fact that it was Ashley, that was enough. That was them sending my love back to me. Everything else is for the rest of the audience to enjoy forward.
And I think that's what really matters, right? Is like when you watch, I'm not really steeped in like the Halo lore, but let's go down the rabbit hole for a second. When they change everything in the Halo show, you can tell it's haphazard. They don't know what they're doing. They're kind of just changing shit to change it. When you're watching The Last of Us and you've played the game and you're watching the show, the changes they make sense. They feel in line with like stuff that would be in the game. And like I said, the vibe is there. The characters all felt like the characters. I wasn't sitting there like, oh, like that doesn't feel like Bill or Fran. Like, oh, that doesn't feel like that. Like that they got that wrong. Like I never felt that once. Like as long as the vibe is there, I don't care. Cause like Neil said, like some people will never pick up a controller. So I've been gushing about The Last of Us to my friends for years, and they're not as into gaming as me. We play Fortnite and shit on stream, but like they're not gonna sit down and play The Last of Us and get traumatized and play all those games and cry their eyes out. But they watch the show and are like, oh, this is fantastic. I get why you love it. I get why you have a tattoo. Like I get it now. And then my dad, same thing. Oh yeah, that was really good. Like, so it's already doing its job. So I mean, I think just the idea that we got one of the best writers and showrunners working with the actual creator of the game. Like this is the difference. Like, otherwise you get Halos and stuff. So I trust them completely. Like Neil wouldn't let them ruin the legacy of the games, and Craig is an actual fan of the games. He wouldn't want to ruin the legacy either. So like basically all that just to say, let them cook.
What I want to ask you this, because this is very intriguing. The first few images we ever saw of season 1 was Joe and Ellie looking at that plane.
Yeah.
With the costumes, and we're like,
yeah.
And then if I'm not mistaken, the very next thing we ever saw officially was a photo, and it's when they're both crouching down in the museum hiding, and we instantly know like that's the museum. Yeah. That's when they got hush and whatnot. So I'm very intrigued to see why they chose to show those two images first. And I would die at the chance to interview Neil and Craig when he's 18. Be like, yo, why did y'all chose that first image first? Like and for them, hopefully they see me in this getup. They're like, what that scene means to me. So why would you show that, people? And they're like, I'm dying to see what they would think of. Like, we need to bring people up to stay. And I think showing both Joel that way, it emphasizes time has passed.
Yeah.
Whether you believe Bella as Ellie doesn't look like tennis pad, but time has passed, and now and it's again, and the fact that technically they're not in the same shot, even though we know who he's looking at and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's like they're in separate photos. They're not together. They're in separate photos.
That's the point I was going to bring up.
She's holding a shotgun, which we're like, finally a shotgun.
Yep.
But it's also like, what does that come with?
Yeah, you took the thought right out of my head. I was going to say, I think it's very telling that all of the pictures from season 1, Joel and Ellie together, always. First pictures you see of season 2, separate pictures. One of Joel, one of Ellie. They're on different tracks. They're on different journeys. What does that mean? Well, wait and see. So speaking of that, I think like we were saying, like they're smart with what they show. Like there's a reason why they chose one picture of Joel, one picture of Ellie, not two of them together, because they could have, but they're like, no, split them up. So we'll use that to start kind of diving into Joel. We'll start with Joel and kind of just analyze what is going on here. And you don't really need much analyzation when you just got this right here. Direct pull, side by side shot. I mean, dude, like they killed it. It's we already saw set photos of like some locations they were shooting at. We saw like a barn kind of area, which everyone's like, oh, and it kind of even looked like, because, you know, for those, I did it on my stream, and I'm sure you played a Ronin on the part 2 remaster where they had the lost levels, and there's a lost level outside of the Jackson Dance, which is where this is.
Yeah.
The building they were shooting at looks almost exactly like how it looked in the lost levels. So I was like, oh, we're doing that, and we might get the lost level stuff in the show. Like it's really,
bro.
Hey, son. But yeah, so I mean, yeah, just take it away, Ronan. What do you?
I was gonna say, are they gonna give us the fucking lost levels? Like that is.
I think they might. So I guess we'll start with this too. So like, I said it on council with my son present. That I thought my original idea was they were gonna tackle part 2 chronologically. For those that played the game, they know there's a lot of timeline jumping. There's a lot of flashbacks, cut back and forth, time jumps. Yeah. I thought they would maybe go in chronological order, and then you kind of just pick where you want to end the first season of part 2, and then kind of jump for there, because a lot of different points you can end and stop, because there's so many huge moments in that game. But to me, these set pictures have kind of shown we're not doing that at all, because this is and this is where the spoiler alert comes in for everyone. Like, if you don't want part 2 spoilers,
tread.
I'm sorry.
Lightly.
Yeah, tread. Yeah, we're some marathoners here. This is way deep into part 2. I mean, this is a flashback, but it is right at the end of part 2, pretty much. Like, this is like the final push for Ellie that kind of sends her over the edge again.
And it's something as us viewers and fans, we're like, was this the moment they had? And this is deliberately. I'm not completing my sentence. Like it's a very it's a gut wrenching thing.
Was that it?
yeah. I'm like, wow. I feel that is fucked up, and like that is so sad for her, and she's gonna have to live with that, and and it just
not knowing what comes next makes it even sadder. But but like it is one of, like we said, it's one of the most impactful scenes in the game, and it's late in the game. So to see that they're shooting that, that kind of completely threw me off. Because like I said, if we're doing this, we're not going chronological, because that would be next season if we're going chronological order, or it would be maybe the very tail end of this season. But when we also see the Seattle set pictures, no. So I think we're jumping around timelines here. How they divvy it up, I'm not sure.
And I'm wondering because, for those who play the game, like even in the way it's played out chronologically when the adventure starts, or the nightmare starts, if you will, they mention Cat. They mention where Ellie got that tattoo from. The one that Gianni has right there. And it's just like in the lost level, you interact with her.
Yeah.
And I remember when I picked up, I'm like, whoa, so you're the mother that gave her
Yeah.
and I was like, but fuck you for bringing her hard. And it's like, thank God she found Dina. And so I'm very intrigued. I'm like, are we gonna see Cat? And I'm wanting to see how many people's like that goes over people's head, and it's just like, yo, that's a deep thing level. And two things I want to ask you. Again, major spoilers for anybody. A heads up. I want you go into this season as cold as possible. No pun intended.
Or just play the game before the season. Either one, whatever you choose to do.
Yeah. But and if you do that, please give yourself. And you tell me if I'm wrong, Gianni. Give yourself a weekend. And give yourself a weekend, and the Monday that follows it, give it off. That way you can prepare yourself back into your normal rhythm. Yeah. Because it takes a toll, man. This fucking thing takes a toll.
There's a reason why I got a tattoo of it. No piece of media has ever affected me on such a level that The Last of Us Part 2 affected me. I was in shock and emotionally damaged, but yeah, continue.
So what we know, and I'm proud that I covered this on my channel and whatnot, that like in part 2 they finally gave us the scene that was hinted at in the One Night Live event, where it's an epilogue to Swear to Me. And and there was a scene where Joel makes the promise that I'm going to teach you how to play guitar, which they hint at in season 1. So in that
getting chills.
I would be shocked, bro. I would be shocked if they don't do that as the opening. I
think you gotta keep that. I think you gotta keep that as the opening.
But in the original version, as far as I know, from what I've heard descriptions on Reddit and whatnot, is that the One Night Live event mentioned somebody else. It mentioned Joel's friend Esther. And that was a storyline that was cut away from part 2, and it was implying that Joel was seeing someone, a potential girlfriend, that Maria, I believe, Maria and Tommy had helped Joel find someone to connect to, because it had been a while since Tess. So I'm wondering, are they? And if you guys go online, there's a photo of a concept art of Joel dancing with a woman, and it's Esther. So I'm wondering, are we gonna get Esther in the fucking show? Are we gonna get that?
Maybe.
Because there's dance. This is the event where she would have popped up in the concept art. And also, if they shot this already, did they shoot the porch scene already?
Ooh, man. See, this is where it gets tricky, because like, if we're doing 2 seasons of part 2, like they kind of said we are, I'm almost starting to think, is this season like Ellie's season, and then season 2 or season 3 of the show Abby? Is that what we're doing? I don't know. Like, I really don't know, because like we're saying, like, if we're getting this in this season, this is towards the end of the game, so are we shuffling the deck a little bit more than we did in the game, or moving some of the flashbacks and stuff around? Or like, I don't know, because like, if we're shooting this, you kind of have to do the porch scene because it's immediately after. So for continuity, timeline wise,
and then exactly continuity, because
for continuity's sake. So like, this is where the timeline of the game gets crazy, because like this happens, and you have a whole chunk of the game that happens, and then the game really ends with that porch scene. But technically, the porch scene's like maybe an hour, 30 minutes after this. So I feel like you probably would have had to have shot that. But if we get that in this season, then like, I'm very like, I'll be interested to see what we get in the next season then, because if we're going to just do that, then I think you kind of might have like a Ellie season and an Abby season, and then we'll see what happens with part 3 or whatever. But
and I won't go more deeper into that porch scene and the meaning behind it and the details, but I would say, like, even if I'm adapting this game into the show, I would conclude this interpretation of this game still with that scene. I would still conclude this big storyline with that scene, because it's
maybe the best scene in the franchise,
maybe the
or
best
one
in the
of them.
franchise.
It's
Yeah,
definitely one of them. Like it's
I
up
would.
there.
Yeah, I would be like, I'll just leave it at that. I would do that.
Yeah, I mean that scene really like. Yeah, I don't even know if I want to get into it. I mean, I had the idea of like maybe having a podcast of like just scenes and stuff that I want to see in the part two adaptation.
Yeah.
So we can maybe put a pin in that for like
Okay.
another stream. But that's definitely very high on my list of stuff I'd want to see interpreted. And I feel like you have to for the story. So yeah, I this was exciting, sad, and also just a little. It threw me off. It confused me a little bit, just for like, what are we gonna see in this season?
Yeah.
Like, if we're doing this, we're doing Seattle. How in the hell? Like, I mean, I know one of my complaints with season one was like, and only like as a game fan, I was like, they kind of skipped over like some stuff I wanted to see in the first game. Obviously, they can't adapt everything, but as the fanboy, I was like, no, I want to see that. But they skipped over like some stuff. Like, I think they got to be shuffling the deck a little bit here, because there's no way that you just like in 7 episodes we end up here. Because like, even if you speed run it, like there's no way you can get to this in one season. So,
And don't forget the action.
and the action
Folks,
too.
do not forget for the action, because we are. I think I can't speak for you, Johnny, but I'm deliberately not talking about other factors, organizations, if you will, that play a huge
Oh,
part
yeah.
in this game and involve some amazing action set pieces
Mm-hmm.
that are cinematic, are built for cinematic
Oh
levels.
yeah.
No pun intended. And I'm like, even how they're gonna handle that, because this is just the drama. This is just the raw meat drama, and then you throw in the fist in your face, bullets, flying away,
Flying
cartridges
everywhere,
in your mouth. Oh,
because I mean, like, I would say like the highlight of the first game is the story for me. I think there are some very strong action set pieces.
yes.
And I mean the story is still the highlight of part two for me too, but they went a little bit more bombastic, like a little bit more crazy, Uncharted. I mean, not as crazy as Uncharted, but they had some of those Uncharted level moments in the Last of Us universe, like Hillcrest, like driving around in the truck with everyone, like getting attacked there. Like, there's just some like huge action set pieces in part two. And the major complaint from like everyone basically about part one or season one was, not enough infected. We need some more infected. We need some more action.
Careful
Craig
what
and
you
Neil
wish
said,
for.
okay. Yeah.
Careful what you wish
Yeah.
for. That's
So,
all I'm
I
gonna say.
mean,
Is like, careful what you wish for. If you think you saw the freakiest shit already,
oh,
wait,
yeah.
just wait.
Yeah. I mean, because, like I said, part one, it's got some fun action. It's got
Oh,
some
yeah.
good stuff in there.
Oh, yeah.
The hospital is dark, but and the game itself is dark still, and obviously David, but the action that you're gonna get in these seasons is very brutal, very disturbing. It's just amped up a notch. Part two is amped up a notch in every way from part one in terms of just darkness, depression, violence. Like everything's just is turned up a little bit. So I think it'll be maybe shocking for some people, like when they watch this season, if they really do amp it up, because I don't want to say season one was tame, but it wasn't like as crazy as they could have gone. If they're really true to part two and just
You gotta go.
you gotta go bananas with it. I mean, because we haven't even gotten into the Seraphites. You gotta go crazy with it. So I mean, at least in my opinion, because I mean, like I said, I'm a gore hound. I love my gore, my horror movies and stuff. But like, I think it's just an integral part of the Last of Us universe too. Like, you kind of have to have, and sometimes it is maybe shock value, but it's also world building and important, just to like, yeah, these guys don't fuck around or whatever. Like, I think you're gonna need all that. So
And it tells you more about the world that these people live in.
yeah.
Besides just don't make a sound when you see these lost souls messing around. It tells you, okay, how
That's
does
why Joel
that
doesn't
side-
trust anybody.
Yeah, it almost validates why Joel was the way he was when you go outside of Jackson. Like Jackson, for y'all who are wondering, Jackson is a miracle.
Yeah.
Jackson is a miracle, and it's something that I understand why it was kept quiet, hush hush, and safe.
Mhm.
Because
It's a
again,
little
once you
safe haven, like pocket of normalcy and just an absolute shit show of a world.
yeah,
And I think we'll get a lot more into Jackson, obviously, in part two, because technically we weren't even supposed to really see Jackson in season one, but that was a very welcome surprise. I couldn't believe when we just rolled up in Jackson in season one. Even though Neil said that was supposed to be in the first game, but they just didn't have enough time and budget to put it in. But yeah, I think they got to nail that home too. Like, and I think the violence again would be a good way to kind of show that, like, oh look, we're we're having dances, we have bigot sandwiches with steak, and we have, and then you go outside and people are getting fucking strung up, and God knows what else is going on. So, I think you kind of need the little bit of like that's the beauty of The Last of Us to me too, is like the duality. You get your beautiful moments at part two, I like the aquarium and the Ellie's birthday,
Brazilian.
which oh god, oh dude, oh my god, yeah, I don't even, ooh god, and then you get
Shit.
everything else.
Yeah.
So
Oh wait, man. Y'all, when I'll say this: if Canada Graps, if you're watching this, man, shout out. If
mhm.
you take a photo of somebody holding a bow and arrow,
Oof.
I'm gonna squeal like Jake Johnson.
Mhm.
I'm gonna if I see a machete,
Mhm.
bro.
Yeah, I mean, because that's kind of what these pictures have just opened me up to. Like, what are we seeing in this season? Like, I feel like everything's on the table now. When I thought like really half of the stuff was on the table, but now I think everything's on the table. Because if we're doing this, then wow, okay, like maybe shit. Maybe we'll see an Isaac or someone. Like I don't know. Like who knows what's gonna happen in this season. I'm starting to think maybe my new theory is this will be more of a Ellie and Joel centric season, and then maybe part season two or season three will be Abby.
It's gonna be very hard
Yeah,
for us as fans of this franchise to talk to people who've only seen the show,
yeah,
and how we have to tread very,
so careful.
very softly going forward to be like, stay away from this, mute this password, use it, don't go over here, don't go there, because again, unless you commit to the game, it's gonna be
Yeah,
very hard for them. Even dude, imagine the marketing, how the marketing
yeah.
goes down.
That's my biggest thing too. Like, I mean, people have just shit on Naughty Dog for like lying in the trailers and stuff, but it's like to preserve the integrity of of the story, like it is going to be a nightmare to market this. I mean, and then also just the built-in toxicity around part two in general, because I've said a million times, like Last of Us Part Two is the last Jedi of gaming. This is like the most
Yeah,
just
yeah.
hate it or love it game there is that I can think of. Like I mean, I put out my tweet just saying how excited I am, and then I already got replies under it, like, we won't even talk about it. Like, it's just, it's going to be a nightmare for them to market it. And I hope the reception goes over well for the show or better than the game did. Because if not, I'm going to feel bad for Caitlin.
I'm gonna do my best, and it's not. I'm not paid to do this one, but I'm gonna do my best. Not all the time, but to be as someone to be like, yo, remember that character is not Laura, and that character is not Caitlin. But
Yeah. My bad, because I didn't see your message on Twitch before. It was like a blank message. But what's up, bro?
yeah, I tell folks that, like, again, I'm not showing you emotions the way I'm feeling right now, because the Wolverine inside me will come out. But like
Mm-hmm.
but I tell folks that, like, the people playing these characters,
Yeah.
they're not them. They do their best to bring them to life, and I give props to them. And I might have more connection to others, but I'm like, let's please be respectful, because that's the thing. I think I could say that I'm glad I didn't go down that rabbit hole the way I saw a lot of
Yeah.
people did when that game came out.
Yeah.
And remember, folks, this game got delayed
Mm-hmm.
2 or 3 times. It got shit
Leaked.
leaked, and then it dropped right you
The
know,
pandemic
2 3 months after the world,
shut down.
had its own outbreak day.
Hmm.
And then throw the fact that like in May was when the Floyd stuff happened and whatnot, and so like
Yeah.
it was just a brutal time
Yeah.
to be coexisting. And then it's like, oh, fucking tighten that shit up, like because you're gonna play a game that's gonna rock everything around you and whatnot. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be very interesting. And I don't know what's something. I don't want to spoil stuff, honestly, but
I mean, you can.
I know, but like me, just say I'm intrigued. I want to talk about it. Let's talk about Dina for a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm so happy Isabel is getting this opportunity
Hmm.
because it's cool that she's pumped for Hawker as well, and I'm pumped for Hawker as well. But I'm very fascinated to see how much she makes me care for her the
Yeah.
way um
Oh God, I'm forgetting her name too. Oh
Shannon,
no.
Shannon Woodward made me care
Shannon
for
Wood. Yep.
Dina in the game and whatnot, and how I don't know. I was so happy that Ellie had found someone like that, and I
Hmm.
was so fuck, man. I was almost like an older brother,
Hmm.
to be like please stay together. Like you make her happy, keep each other happy, whatnot. And how much there's a scene, if I'm not mistaken, a synagogue, if you will,
Yeah, the
that
synagogue sequence is like
I'm
one of the
hoping they
biggest
keep,
standouts.
because it's a cool,
Yeah.
again, breather moment with these characters about their world and how we learn a little bit more about Dina and her
Hmm.
past. And I hope Shannon gets
Something.
something in this show and whatnot.
Something.
Yeah.
I mean, because yeah, I mean, I really enjoy Dina from part two. I wish we maybe got a little bit more of her in part two because like the little bits you get are really nice. They're not, they're a little few and far between. It feels like sometimes in the grand scale of the game, but a lot of like Ellie and Dina's moments really stand out to me. I mean, everything at the farmhouse, fantastic. So I'm hoping that maybe like if we're expanding stuff, I would like to get a little bit more of Ellie and Dina, especially if we're gonna like maybe fill in some gaps. Maybe we'll see like before part two, like the whole cat thing. Maybe we'll see Dina play into that. And I mean Isabella's a great actress from like everything I've seen her in. I think the first thing I saw her in was the Sicario sequel,
Same.
and I've seen her just kind of pop up in like some other stuff every now and then. And yeah, she wasn't like I didn't really know who to cast as Dina, but when I heard her, I was like, oh yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
And it seems like her and Bella like are really getting along well from like what people have been saying and everything. And I mean, I feel like it's gonna be. I feel like all of the casting and everything has been pretty great in my opinion. Like so far, I think it's gonna go over well. And yeah, as long as they keep some of those character moments in there, maybe add a couple more. I think it's gonna be great. And then we've got this right here. It's Last of Us Part 2, a good story. I love playing the original game PS3 when it dropped. The MP was amazing to me, but I love the story. Also enjoy the live action. Never played the second one though.
You want to take this one, Johnny?
So, like we were saying, this is the most divisive game really ever. And we can both give our opinions on it. I personally think you 100% should play it. I think if you love the first game or you're getting into the games because of the show, whatever situation you're in, I think you should 100% play part 2. And the only thing that I could say is finish the game, let it go where it's going to go. You may not love every second of where it's going to go. I know I didn't the first time I played it. It's one of those things where like every time I've played it, I love it and love it and love it more every time. The first time I finished part 2, I was conflicted. I was like, what the
Mhm,
fuck was this? I was like, I
mhm.
don't even know how to process what I just played.
Yeah.
I also did like a 12-hour stream finishing it because I need to know how it ended, and it just kept going and going and going. I was like, oh my god, what is happening? It was overload, and then I literally started a replay when I woke up after doing that stream and played it again, and it's just it consumes you. Like it really, it just it just, I mean, it is a lot to get through.
Mm-hmm.
It's not always enjoyable. I mean, Neil Neil was right when he was marketing the game. He's like, yeah, like I didn't want this game to be fun. Like, this game isn't supposed to be fun. Like it's just, you got to go through it. And I do think it is a very fun game on a gameplay side of things too. The mechanics are phenomenal.
Bro.
It's the best stealth gameplay I've ever played in my life,
Yes.
and the gunplay is like maybe the most satisfying I've ever played. Like as a game, like people kind of shun Naughty Dog sometimes for their gameplay. I've always really enjoyed it, and I think Part Two is maybe the best playing game they've made besides like Uncharted 4. So from a gameplay perspective, 1,000% you should play it. Story might not work for everybody, but I think if you're willing to go in open minded and see the vision.
I said it that like, and this is I feel about a lot of stuff that like if you're gonna criticize something, experience it first and then talk about it. If you didn't play it, and I'm not calling out people, but if you play the fucking thing first,
Mm-hmm.
let it sink in,
Yeah.
go where you feel going, and then make up your mind on stuff. Because I still am unsettled with stuff. I still
Mm-hmm.
think like that angle interpretation feels very
I think we can all say that The Last of Us Part 2 is not the sequel that everyone was expecting it to be or necessarily wanted. So it's just if you're okay with that.
some yeah. I still think some stuff feels predictable to me. Some stuff I felt like I saw that a mile away, but I was intrigued to see it play out and see how I felt out of it. I'll
Mm-hmm.
say this: I recently played the remastered version.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I haven't done live stream before of gameplay, but I think before the season comes out, me and Sam, we might cook something up. I have a cool concept of how I would want to do it
Mm-hmm.
and the setting and everything to do it. But there's moments now with characters and organizations that I'm so torn emotionally that there's moments that I'm like, that it's better for me the second
Mm-hmm.
time than the first time I ever did it all. So I would say, yeah, experience it first, and then if you feel, and again, people don't have to, you don't have to share your opinions for everything. I
Yep.
don't,
Mm-hmm.
but some stuff, if you feel like sharing it, at least put it under your belt that like I went through the ropes to do that and whatnot.
Yeah.
Um,
Because that was my biggest thing with everyone was shitting on the game was like half these people didn't even buy the game and they're just shitting on it based off the leaks
mhm,
and like running with the false rumors that the leaks
mhm,
started up. Like
mhm.
that's why it was so frustrating being like someone who actually enjoyed the game after it came out because you're just seeing everyone run rampant with these crazy just like dude like that's not even like that's not even what happens in the game. What are you talking about? Like or or just no context or anything like we're saying like it's a heavy experience. It doesn't really hold your hand, but like you gotta just kind of go where it's gonna take you. And if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. And honestly, it's been one of those things too where like very respect like if you don't like it, I completely understand why you don't like it. And if you love it, I do too. I understand why you love it. Like
Yeah.
it's one of those things. As long as you're respectful and you have like a actual opinion about it, then you
Some
know.
some things that I don't love or like as a whole have some great stuff in them to take away and be like, well, you can expand on that, and I'm willing to go there. A perfect
Mhm,
example is that as a kid, I liked the prequel Star Wars films. I
mhm,
didn't know people didn't like it as much as I know now because I was so shielded from the internet as a kid and whatnot, which I think was a blessing in looking back at it now.
yeah.
So in time, people have come to appreciate those movies more for what they offer the universe. You can still say
Mhm,
execution wise, maybe not the way, even though I like the movies. But again,
yeah.
you're looking at someone who was growing up when they were coming out. And I think that for this one, you could say that I'm glad some stuff was birthed out of this because it builds the world more now and be like, okay, now if we want to go further in the future, now I know there's this portion that exists. It's not just what we've seen out of the first game or whatnot.
Mhm.
I think I can happily say that like I've met Hallie Gross
Mhm.
once
Oh,
before,
dope.
and I was so like like it was a weird thing because I was like, I was like, I felt my face going full Ben Affleck, just like the fever, the rage. And then, but I was like, no, I'm like, no, 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 no. She's a human being. And so I
Mhm.
remember just shaking her hand. I'm like, yeah, it's a pleasure to meet you. And would you mind, taking a photo of me? She's like, yeah, absolutely. I told her, I'm like, listen, I'm not taking this person on you. I'm just like to let you know, you broke my heart, and you
Mhm.
did it very well. And she was like, well, I got paid to break your heart. And I'm like, that is absolutely fair and valid.
You did a great job.
You
You
knocked it
did
out of that
good.
one, if you will. So, and she was very sweet about it.
Uh-huh.
And I hope, if anything, with these adaptations, and especially season two, I hope that the crew at Naughty Dog gets honored the
Mhm.
best way possible, because how long did that game take to be
Yeah.
made?
Oh my
And
god.
then the circumstances around it to be released and whatnot. So hopefully the time and effort they went to put minute details in that
Mhm.
game gets paid out. If you do want to go play it, play through it first, let it breathe in, and if you want to experience moments at it again, I recommend you staying in an environment and just experience the detail,
Yeah.
experience seeing your character going through rain and seeing the detail on them and whatnot, with when someone gets
Dude.
shot or cut or hit and whatnot. Like, it is something I commend the crew a lot. That, again,
Mhm.
story is another thing, but it's not the only thing.
Yeah. I mean, the game is a masterpiece, like on a technical level, absolutely. I
Yeah,
mean,
technically,
and
yeah.
I think overall it's a flawed masterpiece is what I usually call it. Like I think the pacing, not great, but
Half of it is good.
half of the pacing is really good. There's some parts where I'm like, wow, like even replaying, like, all right, like I'm ready to kind of get over this part, but but it's just I don't know. I think everyone, it's one of those games where like you kind of just have to play for yourself and kind of see how it hits you,
Yeah.
and that's really it. Even if the odds of you actually playing are slim to none, I still encourage you to play it and try it. I think it's worth it. And then, like Ronan was saying, like the details and even like some of like, and I said it in my Last of Us video that I made a while ago, of like why I love the first game. Like the environmental storytelling that Naughty Dog does is like unmatched. Like, and I feel like every time I replay it, I just pick up on something, whether it's a detail of the actual game, whether it's another detail in like some of the stories around the different levels you go through, whatever, just some of the minutia. Like, I feel like every time I play it, I just pick up on new things. And that's part of the reason why I love it more and more every time I play it. Like, it's just, there is so much in that game. It is insane.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's our TED talk on why you should play that game. But all right, let's get into Bella here. Let's pull up the
Yeah.
picture. So we talked about Joel and what that means. We know what that means. Bella, we have some stuff to kind of go over here. The first time I saw it, and I kind of feel like an idiot now because I said it on council again. When I looked at this picture quick, because I was mostly just looking at Bella, I looked at the background a little bit, and to me at first, I was like, "Oh, this kind of looks like the bank in Seattle that you could go to."
Yeah.
Because I saw like some of the stuff in the background, it kind of looked like maybe like the little lights are like on like the tables at a bank or something. But
Yeah.
the more and more I looked at it and kind of thought about, because I remember looking at it too, I was like, "Well, why would she be like in a winter jacket when she's in Seattle? That's not what she wore. She's in the little windbreaker, and we saw in the Canada Grass picture like she's in a windbreaker. She's in her Seattle gear. So what could that mean?" And then it hit me. I was like, "Oh, I know, I know what they showed me. They showed me this right here.
Bro.
I think that's what they showed me.
Bro.
The house, the
That is
lodge.
fucked up. That is fucked up.
Yeah. Uh, I kept looking at the background of that picture and I was like, you know what? Might be this. I was like, it might be.
Somebody please clip this out and send it to Craig Mason and Neil Druckmann and the team up in Vancouver. So I'm like, if this is true, y'all fucked up.
Yeah, I love and hate you guys so much. Oh my god, you beautiful fuckers. Oh my god.
uh,
Like I kept looking at that background. It just started like clicking on me. My face like went fucking blank. I was like, "Oh my god.
yeah,
I think it's this."
yeah.
It,
If it's not this, it's probably a scout routine. That was
yeah,
my other thing. That like, it's probably a
it
scout
could be.
routine.
It could literally just be like maybe like a nothing, like maybe before this or something, but I don't know. But I thought about it and I was like, well, if we're picking like a scene like that for the Pedro shot, and then we're doing like I feel like you have to. And then I thought, I started overanalyzing it. I was like, well, she doesn't have a shotgun necessarily. Like in that part, she only has the rifle, and the main
Right.
one is the pistol she uses.
Yeah.
But that could change very easily because in the grand scheme of things, does it matter that she's holding a? It doesn't really matter what gun she's holding,
No.
or even a gun at all. She could go in there just like, oh, hello, oh, what the fuck? Yeah. So like, it doesn't really matter, and yeah, I don't know. The more I started looking at that picture, I started thinking it could maybe be that. Like, it could be because this picture that I have right here too. I like how I said there was like some of the tables and like some of the decorations in there a little bit. It's not one for one. I mean, it would be insane to get it one for one. I don't know how feasible that'd be, but it's pretty close. I mean, then looking like at that with some of the lamps and the tables around and the couches, I was like,
All I'm
yeah,
gonna say this, folks, is that there's been set photos
yeah, we saw
them from
this
outside.
place.
And I remember someone putting out the meme photo of Walter White screaming in the van, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god, you
Yeah.
fuckers!"
So like with that knowledge too, it's like I know we've been there. Like you
Yeah.
went there. We know you went there.
Yeah.
I think that's what it has to be. So to me, that also kind of confirms, and this is like the spoiler of all spoilers. So I mean, if you're here by now, we were like an hour in, so I hope
No, you're really gonna show it?
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna show. I'm just gonna say, I think we're doing the damn thing.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I think Pedro might go golfing early on. He might. I don't and dude, I really don't want to see that scene again, but like
Same,
dude, oh
man.
my god.
I'm gonna fuck. Man. It's gonna suck so much.
That's
I don't
like
think I'm not gonna be able to like hear any song like I don't think I'm not gonna listen to like Queen for a while now. Like it's gonna be so bad to hear a particular song out of Queen, and even then I'm not even saying the title. Um, yeah, man, and yeah, but again, I also that man, what if it'd be ballsy of them that they deliberately chose to show us the shot from the dance, but what if the Bella shot is something they just made up on the day? They're like, okay,
Mhm.
let's just play this, even though it has nothing to do with it. You might be onto something, but imagine if they're just fucking with us to be
They
like,
could be.
we don't even want to hint at that yet to
They
keep it hush
absolutely
hush.
could be. I mean, like it's kind of tough like I see some writing on the wall behind her too. Like I thought maybe that's why it was the bank or something. Like I really don't know. I'm just they could be fucking with us and just being like, we'll just take a picture of Belle and just put it out. Like
Part
the
of me,
Joel picture would be enough to
part of
get
me
people going.
wants to do the Rick Decker thing, which is like
Yeah,
enhance,
pretty much.
enhance.
Yeah, if I could, oh man,
It's just
like
like
can we unblur the background? Can I look around a little bit? Because like yeah, it's kind of tough. Like I can't. It's blurry. I think 100% on purpose. Uh, it's kind of tough to tell, but like I don't know.
and they have to know that we're smart enough to smell or sense when something is from a certain moment. Like they could have
Yeah.
easily known, okay, they're gonna know that's from that scene.
Hmm.
Because I know even if when folks to get the folks, if you get the chance to experience both games, I absolutely highly recommend you go watch the documentaries for making both of those
Absolutely.
games.
fantastic.
especially in Grounded 2, they say how maybe we've underestimated our fan base and how even when it comes to marketing, people might pick up on stuff that we didn't want to pick up on. So
Hmm.
I wouldn't be shocked if Craig and Neo and team were very much involved with HBO and Max in the marketing department. Be like, listen, our fans, they're not good. They're fucking deadly in
Yeah,
seeing and smelling and sensing stuff that we're showing them. So we have to be very precise of what we're gonna put out there officially from us.
yeah.
Um,
I'm
yeah,
pretty
man.
sure Neil probably has like a final say of like, yeah, we're gonna put these out like on
Yeah,
purpose because like we're saying too, like how you're gonna market this, like we don't like it's gonna be tough. Like I mean, I feel like marketing obviously the first season was a lot easier because there's
yes,
not like I don't want to say that like there's not any like big moment because obviously there is, but I mean like in context of the universe that there's nothing like crazy spoiler wise that you have to necessarily try to not give away for the first season. This one is gonna be rough, and you know, me and you are both gonna be dissecting everything. Like every Last of Us fan is gonna be dissecting every frame of every trailer of every picture we get. Like,
it's season
it's
one
gonna be a
again, dude.
nightmare. Yeah.
It's season one again, where I remember that first HBO like Max thing of like what's coming in
Mm-hmm.
2023. And I remember, hearing Bella sing the line, "Everybody I've cared for, he's died or left me," and then it
Yeah.
cuts to the shot at the
Mm-hmm.
ranch house, and it's just like they knew I knew that was coming out. The
Oh
bridge
yeah.
scene, I had never seen that before,
Mm-hmm.
but it hinted at something else on it. But I'm like, they knew I was going to pick up on that instantly. So
Yeah.
I give props and kudos to the marketing, and I'm hopeful that, and not even just them. I hope marketing companies around the world are realizing that people are smarter than before on picking
Mm-hmm.
up stuff that is popular or about to be popular or more.
Yeah.
Like again, we're not talking about it, but like I know Ryan Reynolds is talking to the marketing team when it comes to Deadpool Wolverine of how like
Mm-hmm.
you gotta keep everything close to the chest and not showing too much because you want to preserve the magic of
Yeah.
experiencing it and whatnot. So again, out of the if we only just saw this and one teaser, I'm okay. I'm
Yeah.
okay. The fact that she's holding a shotgun now, it's like that's good enough for
Yeah.
me
That's
because I
cool.
kept saying where the hell is the shotgun and where the hell are the bottles and bricks? No pun
Oh
intended to my
man. Yeah.
podcast, but I'm like, where are those minute details that made the elements of playing that game rich for me?
Yeah.
It gave me options.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think showing the shotgun, like I'm not gonna lie, I think if they showed like Ellie with the bow, oh man,
I'm telling you, bro.
that would have got me going. But the shotgun is really cool to see. I love seeing the shotgun again because that's one of the best guns in the game, if not the best. So yeah, I don't know. It's hard to tell because you never know if they're gonna be showing you something or if they be kind of fucking with you a little bit. Like I don't know. I could be overanalyzing something that's literally nothing in passing. Cause you know, like in the grand scheme of things, like you know, the first like airplane picture we got of Joe and Ellie, not an important scene really at all. It's just showing like, hey, look, they're making the show. They're in the cool outfits. We're doing the thing. Looks cool. Looks like a Last of Us shot.
And it wasn't really from the game.
And it
Like
wasn't from the game. Yeah. So
it
like
wasn't until the museum shot that I'm like
the
that's from
museum
the
shot,
game.
that's where everyone was like, oh my god, they're at the museum.
Yep,
Like, but the airplane shot was just like, look, we're doing the thing.
yep, yep.
So this could be like a look, we're doing the thing. Like, I don't know. But it could also maybe not be. I don't know. That you guys will have to let me know in the comments because I'm not 100% sure. It could be nothing, it could be something. I don't know. I'm not sure. What's up, Draven?
Hey, Graven.
Yo, yo, yo.
I want to ask you this. I want to pick your brain about this.
Mhm.
If you and I were in the marketing group, if they were like, we gotta, Gianni, Ronan, you gotta sign these NDAs. Okay, we'll sign NDAs. We
Mhm.
want your thoughts. What would you do in the first teaser for season 2? What would you do? I honestly think, for me,
Mhm.
hinting at shots, moments of grit, violence, beauty, softness with
Yeah.
one of these in
Yeah.
frame, and
Oh
if
yeah.
they play that fucking Pearl Jam song
Oh
and do
man.
their own version of it and make
Hmm.
it even more like darker and that points soft and beauty, like I would do that, dude. I'm like,
Oh
just use
yeah.
that song. It's gonna hit the charts again, like it did in the game. Like
Mhm.
I would do that. Do you think they're gonna do that, or what would you expect
Honestly,
from the teaser?
we'd be a good marketing deal because honestly, I'd probably do the same thing. The first thing that came to mind if I had to drop a teaser, I would do the scene of Joel. Some folks call this here a guitar, and he's like, maybe he's playing the song or a song, whatever, and like while he's playing the song, like you just kind of cut to random shots of whatever. Like if you want to show the crazy, I feel like you have to show some crazy violence in it. You have to show some of the nice moment, kind of like you said, pretty much like that exactly. And then like the last shot of the trailer could just be like when the title drops in the game of just Ellie like I'm just strumming it, and then boom, Last of Us Part Two, like Last of Us Season Two. Like
Imagine it with him, just going "Days of You and Me," and it cuts to the Last of Us season 2.
yeah,
Look, and it's just like,
like
fuck.
yeah, like you like I feel like you just gotta have something that's very moody and atmospheric, and I think if you have Joel singing that beautiful song to Ellie, and then you're just intertwining it with just terrible shit to kind of contradict it. I think that's like the essence of The Last of Us to its core. Like, I think you'd have to kind of do something like that. And just kind of, you got to try to play the cards close to your chest or as close as you can while also giving something, for fans and people to talk about. I don't necessarily know what. Like, I feel like they're going to have to show Abby because she's one of Kaylin's obviously one of the bigger names on the cast. She's a rising star. Um, I feel like you have to maybe show her for a second, like maybe because they're gonna do more than one trailer probably. Um, I don't know. Like that's the thing. Like I don't know how you handle that whole shebang. I have no idea.
Even in saying it now, I'm like, okay, that's the only thing I'm gonna say about that, and I'm just gonna wait till what they give me one now because I don't want to set
Hmm.
expectations that high for me because it's what I would do, but I'm not in that business yet.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not in the marketing crew right now, so like I don't know. Maybe you hide her. Maybe you do. I don't know. That's something that I'm sure Neil and Craig are very they're definitely thinking about that. I don't really know what you do in that situation because then you're gonna start the narrative of the same thing in the game, like oh you hit her in all the trailers, and then so like do they want to go down that road again? Maybe not. I don't know. It's gonna be rough. It's gonna be really rough to market this, especially now that's like one of the most popular shows out. So it's gonna be tough. Like now it's doubly rough because like really, as long as you made like the fans happy for the first season, that you could call that a mission accomplished, and then you have it be a massive hit. That's like yeah, you really fucking did a great job. Now it's like you have the game fans expecting greatness, and now you have the show fans expecting greatness at the same time. How are you gonna make both of them happy? What are you gonna show them both to like get game fans excited and just the show watchers excited? Like you gotta find some kind of balance in there without just showing the cards, which they've done a really good job with all their marketing. So
Yeah.
I'm no doubt that they're gonna be very secretive and kind of cryptic. But
And I think if I'm not mistaken, Deadline or Variety recently posted that they can confirm that the show will come out in the first half of
of
next
20,
year.
yep. I,
Um,
I heard like actually I could pull that up right here. So I had this that I was gonna like kind of wrap up
okay.
this show with. The information might not all be correct, but I just saw this. We could look at it real quick. So this is from Naughty Dog Info. I've been following, or I thought I followed them. I follow a bunch of pages, but so obviously we already know. Allegedly, it won't cover the entirety of Part Two story, which yeah, I don't think it. There's no way it could. Aiming for a March or April 2025 release
Hmm.
date. Consists of 7 episodes,
Whoa.
and expected to wrap filming this August in Canada. So,
Damn.
you know,
Well, last season did come out in January,
mhm,
which even then I thought was a miracle because it when it came to nominations and stuff, it was still in play and whatnot.
yep.
Um, 7 episodes. Woo. I'm gonna wait.
Seven's kind of rough because like my main complaint of like the first season was like I maybe thought you could have used like another episode or two in the first season. So to cut a couple episodes, interesting. I mean,
Yeah,
if they're like all around an hour, I guess that's still 7 hours of content.
yeah,
But you know, I would want them to be at least an hour minimum each. But easier said than done. I'm not the one making the show, so I have no idea. But it's that's the one where I'm like 7 episodes. That sounds a little like that's gonna be tough. I don't know. Maybe I'll be wrong. We won't know until we actually get everything confirmed
yeah.
from HBO and Naughty Dog and everybody. Like that's just alleged right now. And then the
Take it
sources,
with a
I
grain of
guess.
salt.
Yeah, so take it with a grain of salt. Like Gaming Bolt, comicbook.com, Last of Us News, like nothing too crazy, but that's just something I saw that I thought was kind of interesting. I wasn't sure. I heard I think when they announced season two that I was gonna either be around like 7 or 8 episodes. I thought it was 8 for some reason. So
Mhm.
seeing 7, I was like, all right, like maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
The amount that we got for season one to double that for the whole game of more than one season, it made sense. But then if you're shortening more, it's like, you're really playing it close to the chest. Why not? But they haven't disappointed me yet. So
No.
I got faith. Even though
Yeah.
I do get concerned here and there, I'm not losing sleep over it. And they delivered on season one, so I'm,
Yeah.
I'm I'm confident they will deliver in season two. And another thing I think people don't talk about as much, and I'm happy to boost it up as much as I can, folks. Make sure your hearing is right. Make sure you take care of your ears as best as possible because come season two and beyond, the gift that is Gustavo Santaolalla,
Oh my god, man.
you ain't ready for what this man is going to give us season two. And dude, the surprises he might give us who
Yeah.
are used to his music for season
Oh
two.
yeah.
Like, there's tracks in that first season that I had not heard before, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, something new I can take for that first
He
game.
he still found a way to surprise me in season one because he even used some part two music in season one. I was like, oh
Yeah,
wow. I was like, oh, okay. All right, Gustavo. It's like I guess when you got that big of a bag, you can just reach in and pop whatever you want. I was like, okay. So yeah, I mean, dude, one of the unsung heroes. I'm happy you brought that up. Yeah, Gustavo, man. Oh my god, it's like some of the best music I've ever heard in any type of media, game, movie, show, doesn't matter. It is just oof.
I hope he does another tour, if you will, of this
Oh,
stuff.
I'd love.
And
Oh,
now that I know that you're a fan, like I am, and some of the other guys are, I'm gonna keep an eye out and be like, yo, if there's a concert in the U.S., we gotta
mm-hmm,
go to it because he's mostly been
absolutely.
playing outside of the U.S. Like I was
Hmm.
fortunate to hear him at the Game Awards concert,
Yeah, I
um,
saw videos of that.
and thankfully he was sweet when I randomly yelled, "You're awesome" in Spanish. He was very
Mhm.
sweet in there. So if he's in the States, I'm gonna be like, expect me to be buzzing you and the rest of the guys. Be like, yo, he's got a concert in Seattle. Let's get our asses to Seattle, man. Let's just rent a
Day
Holiday Inn
one.
and then just go. Let's just go listen to this man because God knows how long it'll take us to see him ever again in the States.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I'm eager to, and hopefully, a cool thing that I'll keep cryptid, if you will, from the second game. I wonder. I'm finally gonna take lessons in guitar and the ronroco, the instrument he plays the main theme for.
Hmm.
I hope that season two and onwards gets people to learn new stuff like either instruments or sign language or whatnot. Like I'm hopeful that like
Mm-hmm.
Like again, in my list is playing guitar on the Ronoko and bow and arrow, and learning how to handle katana because of these
Yeah.
games and whatnot. Like
Yeah.
I'm very intrigued and hopeful that maybe the show does it as well for audiences around the world, like the game
Yeah.
did for me.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's kind of the beauty of Last of Us, like you said, it's the light in the dark. Like, it's very depressing and just, traumatizing, but then there's also a lot of just beautiful things that come from the games and from the show and everything. And that's definitely one of the highlights is Gustavo's beautiful music
Yeah,
and just like the art behind all of the music in the show. I mean, there's a reason why they like put the guitar as like a playable thing in part two. Like they want they want you to take part in it. So
yeah,
it's just it's very, very, very exciting. It's exciting to be a Last of Us fan.
yeah.
And kind of echo like what you said, like every now and then, like I'll get like a little concerned, like, oh, 7 episodes are old like this or whatever. And then I kind of just sit back, I'm like, yeah, but they got it. Like I got nothing, but they haven't given me even a tiny reason to doubt them at all.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting greatness. I'm very interested to see where we go from here and what the reception will be like for the marketing and the show in general. Obviously, I'm very interested to see how it goes over a second time. But yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting getting all the set photos and their official photos. Like I'm waiting to wake up one day and seeing like here's an actual like official picture of Dina. Here's Jesse. Here's Abby. I don't know, like whoever they choose to show or whatever they want to show, or like even return. Like I'd love to see a look at Tommy again,
Yeah.
or Maria, or their kid, like whatever. Like they, oh man, it's just there's so much to look forward to. It's a very, very exciting time. So yeah, I mean, I think that about does it. Do you have any final thoughts or anything, Ronan, that you want to bring up?
To quote Sam Jackson from Jurassic Park, hold on to your butts.
Yes.
Stuff is gonna go dial up to 11.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna get dialed
Yeah.
up to 11, and to quote my friend Sam from Team GVS, just ride the wave. Even if you feel like you're gonna hit rocks or pillars, which you might do, like we did, just ride the wave because I feel like Joe and Ellie warrant that. They're kind enough to tell us how they view the world once in a while, and I feel that if they're that kind enough to do that for us as characters, we should at least give them that try whenever we go visit them every so
Mm-hmm.
often.
Very well said. Very well said. Well, guys, that's gonna do it. We got chainsaw. I bought the skin for it. Nice, nice, nice.
We're talking about Last of Us, not that one show.
Yeah, not the other zombie show. But no, that's funny. That's funny. And then we also got that from Draven. I wait till the last second to get my ticket, so I'm probably not going to. I got Regal Unlimited, so I'm gonna wait. But
I'm in a fucking conundrum, Draven and Gianni, because that weekend I'm gonna be in San Diego for Comic Con. So I'm like,
ooh,
fuck, man, do I get tickets to go watch it there? Am I even gonna have time to watch it there? But rest assured that I'm gonna buy tickets for backup in case something happens and I'm still in my where I'm living at right now, or from when I do come back. So yeah, best believe that I'm probably most likely going to get tickets tomorrow. Yeah, and good luck to all of the theater franchises that have their websites. I
oh
can only
man,
imagine how much that shit is going to
yeah.
blue screen, blue
It's
screen, blue screen.
it's gonna get crazy. It's gonna be
Yeah,
like when the Spider-Man tickets drop.
I remember that. Yeah,
So yeah, it's gonna be crazy. And then for the final remark of the show, as a Lakers fan, I can agree. Fuck the Nuggets. Okay. So
well, that's right. They're playing the Wolves. That's right. I just saw
yeah, they're playing
Sam
the
tweet like,
Timberwolves.
"Yo, this game 7-12."
Yeah, I'm hoping the Wolves come through. I need the Nuggets to be exterminated, otherwise I'm gonna cry. But yeah, so that's gonna do it. That's another fantastic episode of the Bravo Cast. I love being able to bring guests on, so it's not me just yapping to nobody for forever, pretty much on and on and on. So thank you, Ronan, for coming on. I appreciate it as always. And yeah, just give yourself a little shout out. You got the Bottles and Bricks podcast and whatever else you want to promote. Go for it.
An honor and pleasure, my friend. It was sweet of you to invite me, and now I gotta invite your ass to Bottles and Bricks. But yeah, you can find me at Ronan Unchained on YouTube, on most of the socials. I do have a last week podcast called Bottles and Bricks that you can guys check out. I think I spent maybe 30, 40 minutes talking about these photos as well with Samuel Leggett from Team GVS. And best believe, folks, that I'm trying to plan stuff out that may work, may not work, that makes even when we do the podcast an event. And I'm hopeful that I have the next 12 months to get to know more people like Gianni, have more people involved, not just the people who you've seen in the past, but you will. I'm gonna bug the shit out of them to be like, yo, you gotta come back and we gotta talk about season 2. And I also have a couple unboxing videos there that if you're a Last of Us fan, you can go check out. And maybe, you know what? I'll tease it for you. So
we're getting exclusive.
I filmed an unboxing for something else I just bought. And
let's see what it is.
I'll show you what I just bought.
Oh my god, I want that too. Oh yeah. That is beautiful and disgusting. Oh, I love it. That's fantastic.
Best believe I'm still trying to mess around with the editing a little bit, but best believe that an unboxing for that will come out down in the pipeline.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, chat. So, like Ron said, you can expect a lot more Last of Us coverage from both of us and both of us together. So make sure to go head over and subscribe to Ronan's channel. And who knows, maybe you'll see my my stupid face on one of the podcaster videos or something. Absolutely. But and again, we just got confirmation that the Wolves beat the Nuggets. So fuck the Nuggets. Go home. Enjoy Cancun. Woo! Let's go Wolvie Wolves. Okay.
Wow.
Love to see that. All right. Wow. What a fantastic end to the show.
Wow.
All right.
We're really out. Holy
shit. So we got a Mavs and Wolves Western Conference final, and then we've got a Pacers and Celtics conference final.
As long as the Celtics don't win, I'm a happy camper.
Absolutely.
I love you busy, but yeah, as long as they don't win, I'm a happy camper.
And one enemy down in the Nuggets, another one to go. We need the Celtics out. We need a Wolves and Pacers final. As long as the Wolves win, I'm happy. For my man A-Rod over there owning the Wolves, I need him to get an NBA chip. All right. But yeah, so you guys, you already know the deal. I'm trying to do more Bravo casts. We're trying to get more guests on, more diverse topics and stuff, not just movie stuff. We're going to be doing music stuff again, trying to get guests on. Trying to kind of get back in the swing of everything. These last 2 episodes have been great, having people to actually bounce off of and talk to. And then obviously you can catch me and Ronan on Council of Creators every Wednesday, or almost every Wednesday. Yeah. So yeah, that's gonna do it for tonight, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate it as always. I hope you guys all have a fantastic rest of your night tonight. Have a fantastic day tomorrow. And I'll probably be streaming something tomorrow. It's Music Monday. We'll do something. We'll figure it out. Catch you then. Bravo 6, going dark.